Is this some kind of joke? Gunnery Sergeant Miller's voice cut through the still air of the shooting range. His sharp gaze wasn't fixed on his Marines. It was locked on the old man, standing quietly behind the firing line. "Do you even know where you are, old man?" Dean Peters, 82 years old, stood calm and unshaken. His jeans were faded, his shirt sun-bleached, and his hands held a long cloth-wrapped object. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp and alive, scanning the range flags, reading their settled dance like lines in a book. He saw what others could not, the invisible language of the wind. "This is an active live-fire range for Force Recon snipers," Miller barked, stepping closer. He was every inch the modern warrior, muscular, confident, armored in tactical gear, and equipped with a ballistic computer strapped to his wrist, a piece of hardware worth more than Dean's old truck. "Civilian presence is prohibited. You need to leave, now." Dean's pale blue eyes turned toward him, patient and unflinching. "The wind's tricky today. It's not just one, it's three." Miller gave a short, disbelieving laugh. His young Marines shifted uncomfortably. They had been struggling all morning to hit at targets set at 1,700 yards, their high-tech instruments contradicting each other at every turn. The wind made them fools. 3 wins, huh? Listen, Pops, we've got equipment for that. We're dealing with Coriolis effect, spindrift, barometric changes. You wouldn't understand. It's a bit more complicated than licking your finger and guessing. He shrugged mildly. "That computer of yours can't see the thermal updraft off those rocks, or the downdraft from the ravine. The flag at the target's lying to you. It's catching the main wind, not the funnel that crosses halfway down range. You're solving the wrong problem. The bullet's got to fly through 3 winds before it ever gets home." The youngest spotter, Lance Corporal Evans, swallowed hard. He'd been watching the mirage through his scope all morning, heat waves bending in 3 directions at once. The old man wasn't wrong, but no one dared challenge the gunny. Miller's pride flared. "And I suppose you could do better," he said mockingly. "What have you got there, Grandpa? A squirrel rifle?" Dean unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a rifle of wood and steel. No carbon fiber, no adjustable chassis. The walnut stock was dark and scarred from age, the blued steel worn but cared for. A simple scope sat atop it, its turrets plain and old-fashioned. Recognition rippled through the snipers. It was an M40, the rifle of Marine snipers in Vietnam, a relic, a legend. Miller snorted. "You can't be serious. That antique probably couldn't hit a barn at this distance." His finger jabbed toward the deep gouge near the bolt. "This thing belongs in a museum." At that gesture, Dean's mind drifted away. The dusty heat of the range dissolved into the green wet of a jungle long ago. He was 19 again, belly down in the mud of the A Shau Valley. Rain drizzled, his uniform soaked, his heartbeat steady. That same rifle lay in his hands, the gouge near the bolt fresh from shrapnel that had nearly taken his life. Through the scope, he watched a clearing where an enemy machine gun was being set up. He breathed half out, let the world narrow to a point, and squeezed the trigger. The echo of that memory faded with the sound of steel cracking under the tropical rain. Back in the desert sun, Dean's eyes refocused. Miller's scorn washed over him without effect. The rifle was more than wood and metal. It was part of his soul. Evans felt his stomach knot. He couldn't watch his gunnery sergeant humiliate a man who radiated quiet authority. He thought fast. "Gunny," he said, "my spotting scope's fogging up. Permission to take it to the armory for repair?" "Fine," Miller snapped. "Just go." Evans jogged away, heart pounding, ducking behind the Humvees. He didn't go to the armory. Instead, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number he knew by heart. "Master Gunnery Sergeant Phillips, sir. It's Evans from Charlie Company. You're not gonna believe this. Gunny Miller is about to throw out the old groundskeeper. Name's Dean Peters. Brought an old M40 with him." A long silence. Then a voice, suddenly tense. "Evans, did you just say Dean Peters?" "Yes, Master Guns." "Listen carefully. Do not let anyone touch him. I'm calling the colonel. Keep them there. That's an order." The line went dead. Back at base, Colonel Marcus Hayes was in the middle of a tedious meeting when the call came through. Within minutes, the colonel and the base sergeant major were in a Humvee, sirens wailing, dust flying toward Whiskey Jack Range. On the line, Miller had lost patience. "That's it," he growled, stepping closer to Dean. "I'm done talking. You're under apprehension for trespassing." He reached out, gripping Dean's shoulder. Dean didn't flinch. His calm gaze met his hand, then his eyes. There was no anger, just a sad kind of pity. And then from the distance came the wail of sirens. Engines roared up the dirt road. A convoy of black Humvees and a military police cruiser tore toward them, lights flashing. The vehicle screeched to a halt. Colonel Hayes stepped out, his expression thunderous. The sergeant major followed, a mountain of a man. The range fell utterly silent. Miller's hand snapped away from Dean as the colonel approached. Without hesitation, Colonel Hayes came to attention and snapped a salute so sharp it cut the air. "Mr. Peters, sir, I apologize for the conduct of my Marines. There is no excuse for the disrespect you have been shown." Every Marine froze in disbelief. Their colonel, a man feared by generals, was saluting the old groundskeeper. Hayes turned toward them, his face grim. "Marines," he said, "you've been failing all morning because you rely on machines instead of your minds. You've been humbled by the wind, and in your frustration, your leader disrespected the man who wrote the very book on reading it." He pointed to Dean. "This is Chief Warrant Officer 5, Dean Peters, retired. In Vietnam, they called him the Ghost of the A Shau Valley. He holds one of the longest confirmed kills in the Marine Corps' history, made in a monsoon with this very rifle your gunny just mocked." Miller stood pale, silent, his pride crushed under the weight of truth. "Mr. Peters," Hayes said, "would you do us the honor of showing these Marines how it's done?" Dean nodded once. He moved to the firing line, slow but deliberate. Lying prone, he rested his rifle on his old rucksack, scanned the terrain, and spoke softly. "Your computers read data, but you have to read signs. See the shimmer over the rocks? That's a thermal updraft. The grass halfway down is bending back toward us. That's the return current. The flag at the target's catching only the top layer. The bullet's got to fly through 3 winds before it ever gets home." He made 2 quiet clicks on his scope. Then he breathed half out. The M40 cracked. 2.5 seconds later, the sound came back, a clear, ringing ping. Dead center. For a moment, no one moved. Then the young Marines erupted in cheers. The colonel smiled faintly, then turned cold eyes on Miller. "Gunnery Sergeant, your arrogance blinded you. Your duty is to make better Marines, not to prove you're the smartest one on the range. You had a legend before you, and you failed to see him." "Sir," Miller whispered, "no excuse, sir. You'll report for remedial training in wind reading and fieldcraft. Your instructor, if he agrees, will be Mr. Peters." Dean rose, knees stiff but steady. He placed a gentle hand on Miller's shoulder. "Technology helps," he said quietly, "but it doesn't replace what's in here." He tapped his temple. "The wind doesn't care about your gadgets, Gunny. You've got to listen to it." In the weeks that followed, the atmosphere at Whiskey Jack Range changed completely. Every morning, the Marines gathered around Dean Peters, sitting in the dust, learning from a man who needed no computer to read the world. He taught them to watch the shimmer of mirage, the quiver of grass, the silent speech of air. The Marine Corps would later add his methods to their sniper doctrine, calling it the Peters Wind Doctrine. A month later, Miller spotted Dean at a local hardware store, studying packets of tomato seeds. He walked up quietly. "Mr. Peters," he began, "I just wanted to thank you. You taught me more in a week than I've learned in 5 years." Dean smiled. "You're a good Marine, son. You were just reading the book instead of the weather." He held up the seed packet. "It's all about the little things. Keep listening." As the old sniper walked away, Miller realized what he'd really been taught, that the greatest weapon wasn't made of steel or silicon. It was wisdom, patience, and respect for those who'd already weathered the storm.